Have you ever felt trapped by someone who seemed to have a way of manipulating you, without you even realizing it? Someone whose charm, confidence, and allure only left you feeling empty, confused, or even worse, emotionally abused? If you've ever encountered a narcissist, you know what it's like to feel like you're under their spell, unable to break free, and constantly questioning your own reality. The tension of knowing something feels wrong, but not being able to articulate it, or worse, doubting your own instincts. You are caught in a vicious cycle, where your mind is constantly at odds with your emotions. You may try to rationalize their behavior, or maybe you even think it's your fault, that somehow you're too sensitive or imagining things. But what if I told you that these narcissists, whom many people adore and are even admired for their charisma and success, are more than just self-obsessed individuals? What if their true nature, as terrifying as it might sound, is not human at all, but something far darker and more sinister? In this article, we are going to explore why, according to biblical teachings and spiritual insights, narcissists are not just people with inflated egos. They are demons dressed up in human form. Stay with me, because by the end of this article, you'll understand exactly how and why God shows us that narcissists are truly the personification of evil in disguise. Narcissism, at its core, is a personality disorder marked by an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need for admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. On the surface, narcissists can appear charming, confident, and even loving, making them difficult to identify at first. This is precisely what makes narcissism so dangerous. It hides behind a mask of normalcy, or even perfection. They can be the life of the party, the friend everyone turns to, the leader who inspires others, or the romantic partner who sweeps you off your feet. But beneath the facade lies a person who is often cold, manipulative, and capable of causing deep emotional harm to those around them. They are often highly skilled at twisting reality to suit their narrative, making their victims question their own perceptions. While many people may chalk these behaviors up to personality flaws, poor social skills, or the consequences of a rough upbringing, there are spiritual perspectives that suggest narcissism is much more than a mental health issue. In fact, some argue that it represents something far more insidious, a demonic presence that operates within human beings, deceiving and destroying lives in the name of their own self-interest. To fully understand this idea, we must first take a closer look at what narcissism truly is, and why it's not just a psychological phenomenon. Narcissists, whether in personal relationships, the workplace, or even in positions of power, often engage in a pattern of emotional manipulation and abuse. They gaslight their victims, twisting the truth and making them feel like they are crazy or unworthy. They thrive on confusion and chaos, controlling the narrative and ensuring that their victim is left in a constant state of insecurity. The narcissist's need for power and control over others becomes an obsession, an addiction that fuels their existence. This behavior may sound familiar to you, and it should, because it mirrors the ways in which demonic entities operate in spiritual teachings. In many religious texts, demons are often described as deceptive, malevolent forces that thrive on chaos, confusion, and destruction, qualities that are strikingly similar to the behavior of narcissists. The deception they create is not only psychological, but also spiritual. Demons, as described in many religious and mythological traditions, are known to sow discord, undermine relationships, and keep people in a state of spiritual darkness. Narcissists in this context function in much the same way. They deceive those around them, creating an illusion of safety, love, and trust, while secretly manipulating and undermining their victims. Much like demons that hide their true, horrific nature behind a mask of beauty or power, narcissists present themselves as appealing, making it nearly impossible to see their true nature without being harmed in the process. The longer you stay in their grasp, the more you lose touch with your own values and boundaries, until eventually, you're questioning your own sense of reality. But why would God allow such beings to exist in our world? This is where the spiritual insight comes into play. According to many religious interpretations, narcissists and other toxic individuals are vessels for demonic forces. These forces use the narcissist as a tool to deceive and harm others. They may appear as normal, even attractive people, just like how demons can appear as angels of light to deceive humanity. These demonic entities work through the narcissist, drawing their victims into a web of lies and manipulation, all the while distracting them from the truth and from their own divine potential. What is most disturbing is that these entities do not have the same capacity for empathy or love as humans do. Their main goal is to drain others, to feed off their emotional energy, and to keep them in a constant state of emotional distress. In this way, narcissists are vessels for darkness, bringing destruction wherever they go. When we look at the spiritual impact of narcissism, it becomes clear that narcissists are not simply people who have lost their way. They are agents of destruction in a broader, spiritual sense. They often prey on those who are vulnerable, sensitive, or empathic, individuals who are more likely to trust and love others unconditionally. The narcissist knows this and exploits it. They appear loving, caring, and protective at first, but once they have gained their victim's trust, they begin to undermine and erode their confidence, often in subtle ways. Just as demons are described as exploiting human weakness to lead them astray, narcissists manipulate their victims' emotions and insecurities to take control of their lives. In many ways, narcissists act as spiritual parasites. They attach themselves to their victims, drawing energy from their fears, doubts, and emotional pain. And like demons, they are skilled at cloaking their true nature behind a facade that makes them seem harmless or even benevolent. The narcissist's ability to appear angelic or even godlike makes it difficult for their victims to recognize the evil within until they have already been emotionally consumed. This is why those who have been ensnared by narcissists often feel as if they are trapped in a cycle of emotional abuse, because the manipulator has so expertly created a false reality that they are unable to see any way out. The most devastating aspect of narcissism, and one that parallels the work of demons, is the way it distorts the truth. Narcissists are masters of deception, constantly reshaping the narrative to suit their needs. They lie, manipulate, and twist reality until the victim is left questioning their own memories and experiences. The narcissist may even go so far as to claim that the victim is the problem, that their own emotional responses are irrational or exaggerated. In this way, the narcissist makes their victim doubt their own sense of self-worth, leaving them vulnerable to further manipulation. This is exactly what demonic forces do. They seek to distort truth and undermine the victim's perception of reality, making them more susceptible to further spiritual harm. In a spiritual context, this pattern of behavior should not be ignored. Narcissists, like demons, can be incredibly destructive forces in the lives of those they target. The emotional devastation they leave in their wake is often far-reaching, affecting not only the victim's sense of self but their relationships, spiritual life, and even their physical health. Narcissism is a silent, insidious epidemic that affects individuals from all walks of life, and its impact can be catastrophic. But there is hope. The good news is that God, in His infinite wisdom and love, has not left us defenseless against such forces. The Bible teaches that we are equipped with spiritual armor to protect ourselves from harm. When we recognize the signs of narcissism and demonic influence in our lives, we can turn to God for guidance, strength, and protection. Through prayer, spiritual discernment, and a firm commitment to truth, we can learn to identify the deceptive tactics of narcissists and protect ourselves from falling victim to their manipulations. In closing, it's important to understand that while narcissism may appear as a psychological disorder, its impact is much broader and deeper, touching on spiritual realms as well. Narcissists, whether they realize it or not, are agents of darkness, manipulating and destroying lives with deceptive and destructive power. But with the wisdom of God, we can learn to see beyond their masks and protect ourselves from their influence. The battle may be tough, but we are not alone. With faith, strength, and discernment, we can overcome the forces of darkness and reclaim our lives from the grip of narcissism. The Bible, in various verses, speaks of the danger of false prophets, wolves in sheep's clothing, and people who lead others astray. These warnings are not just about individuals who deliberately seek to deceive others through blatant lies. They also address the more subtle, insidious tactics that are used to manipulate and control others for personal gain. Narcissists, in this context, can be seen as the embodiment of these biblical warnings. On the surface, narcissists often present themselves as charismatic, eloquent, and full of life, appearing to be confident, capable, and even loving. But underneath that polished exterior lies an empty soul, one that is desperate for control, admiration, and validation. Their charm is merely a mask, a facade they use to gain the trust of others before they begin to manipulate, deceive, and emotionally harm those around them. This phenomenon isn't new. Throughout history, spiritual teachings and religious texts have warned of individuals who look to deceive and mislead, people who act as though they are saviors, but in truth, are nothing more than agents of chaos and destruction. Narcissists, much like demons as described in religious traditions, thrive on division, deceit, and the emotional devastation of others. They prey on those who are empathetic, kind-hearted, and willing to trust, drawing them into relationships that are abusive, toxic, and ultimately soul-destroying. It's important to recognize that while narcissists may appear outwardly charming or even angelic, they are actually the opposite of what they present. A destructive force masquerading as a source of light and love. Like demons, narcissists excel at sowing confusion and discord in their relationships. One of the hallmarks of narcissistic abuse is the constant gaslighting, the manipulation of reality to make victims doubt their own perceptions and emotions. Narcissists lie, cheat, and betray, all the while shifting the blame onto their victims, convincing them that they are the ones who are flawed, irrational, or unworthy. This pattern of emotional abuse is not just about personal power. It is an attempt to destroy the sense of self-worth of the victim, much like how demonic forces and spiritual teachings aim to strip individuals of their dignity, identity, and connection to the divine. Narcissists often create an illusion of love or care only to use it as a tool for control, much in the same way that demons disguise themselves as agents of light, luring people away from truth and righteousness. As we consider the nature of narcissism, it's essential to understand that not every individual who exhibits narcissistic traits is demonically possessed or influenced. Narcissism is a complex personality trait, and its roots can often be traced back to trauma, childhood experiences, or unhealthy upbringing. It can also stem from innate psychological tendencies that make some individuals more self-centered than others. However, it's equally important to recognize that the behaviors exhibited by narcissists often mirror the tactics employed by demonic entities, according to religious teachings. This parallel suggests that narcissism, in its most destructive form, goes beyond mere psychological behavior and becomes a spiritual issue, a battle between good and evil, light and darkness. For example, in the Bible, the warning about wolves in sheep's clothing is clear. These individuals appear innocent, even benevolent, but their intentions are far from pure. They manipulate the truth, exploit the weaknesses of others, and lead people astray. Narcissists, in a similar vein, hide behind a facade of kindness, charm, and confidence, using these traits to draw people in before they begin their pattern of emotional exploitation. They often prey on vulnerable individuals, those who are seeking love, validation, or emotional support. Like demons who are said to prey on the spiritually weak, narcissists often target those who are kind-hearted and empathetic, knowing that they can use these qualities to their advantage. This is why it's crucial to understand that narcissism, in its essence, is not just a personality disorder. It is a spiritual weapon used to divide, conquer, and destroy. While individuals may not be consciously aware that they are being used as vessels for such destructive forces, the impact on their lives and the lives of others can be devastating. The damage caused by narcissists is not only emotional, it can be spiritual as well. Narcissists have a way of pulling their victims into a web of lies, gaslighting, and self-doubt that makes them question their very sense of self. Over time, victims can become isolated, anxious, and spiritually depleted, unable to see their own worth or reconnect with their divine purpose. But here is where the light of God's wisdom shines through. Just as He has allowed certain challenges and obstacles to enter our lives for reasons we may not fully understand, He also provides us with the tools to overcome them. God's Word is filled with instructions on how to recognize false prophets and deceptive individuals, equipping us with the spiritual strength to resist their influence. In this battle against narcissistic manipulation, prayer, discernment, and a deep understanding of God's Word are the keys to overcoming the darkness. Through these tools, we can learn to identify the traits of narcissism and take steps to protect ourselves from falling prey to their manipulations. The Bible also emphasizes the importance of staying grounded in truth. In Ephesians 6 verse 14, we are told to stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist. This is not just a metaphorical warning, but a practical one as well. Truth is the shield that can protect us from the deceptive tactics of narcissists, who thrive on lies and distortion. By staying connected to the truth, through God's Word and the wisdom of His teachings, we can discern the falsehoods and recognize the narcissist for who they truly are. The truth helps us see beyond their mask and exposes their true nature, allowing us to reclaim our power and our peace. It's important to remember that not everyone who shows narcissistic traits is a narcissist in the full sense of the word, and not everyone who acts deceitfully is demonically possessed. There is a difference between someone who is struggling with self-esteem issues and someone who is intentionally manipulative and destructive. However, recognizing that narcissism can be a form of spiritual attack helps us approach the situation with a greater understanding of its potential impact. It's not just about protecting ourselves from toxic people. It's about protecting ourselves from the spiritual consequences of falling victim to their control. In closing, I want to leave you with this thought. Recognizing the narcissists in your life is not about judgment or condemnation. It's about reclaiming your power and your peace. When you understand that narcissism is not just a personality flaw, but a deeper spiritual battle, you can approach the situation with wisdom and clarity. The key is to stay grounded in your faith, trust in God's wisdom, and protect yourself from the toxic influences that narcissists bring into your life. Remember that God's light is stronger than any darkness, and that even the most deceptive forces cannot overcome the truth. Thank you so much for being part of this important conversation. I hope this video has helped you understand the spiritual nature of narcissism and how to recognize it in your own life. If this topic resonated with you, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue exploring these deep and meaningful subjects together. Your support is invaluable, and I look forward to having more discussions with you soon. Stay blessed and remember, the truth always prevails. Have you ever felt trapped by someone who seemed to have a way of manipulating you without you even realizing it? Someone whose charm, confidence, and allure only left you feeling empty, confused, or even worse, emotionally abused? If you've ever encountered a narcissist, you know what it's like to feel like you're under their spell, unable to break free, and constantly questioning your own reality. The tension of knowing something feels wrong, but not being able to articulate it, or worse, doubting your own instincts. You are caught in a vicious cycle where your mind is constantly at odds with your emotions. You may try to rationalize their behavior, or maybe you even think it's your fault, that somehow you're too sensitive or imagining things. But what if I told you that these narcissists, whom many people adore and are even admired for their charisma and success, are more than just self-obsessed individuals? What if their true nature, as terrifying as it might sound, is not human at all, but something far darker and more sinister?